Hi there, welcome to Street Sociology. As you can see, I've upgraded a little in terms of the background, so something better to look at other than this. Anyway, today's episode is going to be about a concept I have called the veneer of civility. Now, there's already a sociological theory called veneer theory that holds that human morality is simply a cultural overlay, a thin veneer hiding an otherwise brutish and selfish nature. Now, many experts have discounted this, stating that morality, as we consider it, is an innate feature of evolved creatures, such as humans or apes or creatures that live in a structured society, and it simply exists from birth. Well, I counter this in two ways. I'm going to approach this from the aspect of civility, being civil to each other, as opposed to any overriding morality. And I'm also going to counter that with the application of something I feel is a little underconsidered in these theories, the effect of fear. See, basically, my opinion holds from what I've seen in the last few years that there is a veneer of civility. Being civil, yes, please, no, thank you, hello, goodbye. Opening doors for people, moving out of the way of an old lady with a pram, the things we consider basic civil things. Um, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I witnessed myself those things fall by the wayside and disappear into dust within probably 3 days of when COVID got bad a few years ago in 2020. That whole the veneer of civility that we hold with each other, I discovered that civility is not something that is innate. Being nice to other people is not necessarily an innate trait of humanity. These are luxuries that are applied when we are lucky enough to have things easy enough to be able to apply them. It's an act. Uh, I saw things during COVID, the panic buying of toilet paper, and in the most selfish ways. And I'll give you an example of how far this goes with the toilet paper thing, which for some reason everyone was hoarding during COVID, not just here, but around the world. It was an incident at a Woolworths, actually, in, I believe it was Melbourne, where a gentleman spent a huge amount of money buying up as much toilet paper as he could, denying everybody else any, because he needed all of it for himself. This wasn't a particularly uncommon trait, unfortunately. Now, the most bizarre thing happened is that when supplies of toilet paper increased again, he tried to return all the toilet paper to Woolworths because he needed the money, because he'd spent all his money on toilet paper. So he tried to return the ridiculous amount he'd bought, which of course he can't because they're like sanitary. You can't just buy it and then send it back. This is one example of some of people's when when fear is applied, and people were genuinely afraid at the start of COVID for any number of reasons, but the fear was genuine and palatable. You could cut a slice off it and eat it. It was just in the air. And I saw how that removes our civil tendencies, and we can become so incredibly selfish, so incredibly fast. People were in fist fights, group big fist fights in shopping centres over things like toilet paper or rice or 20 kilos of flour. What the hell do you think you're going to do with 20 kilos of flour? You're going to make damper in your lounge room or something? You don't know how to make bread. What are you going to do with it? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculousness. So I was talking about this to a friend the other day, and it simply stuck in my head. I do believe that civility is a veneer, something that's held in front of all of us. And underneath this veneer does lie a brutish and selfish nature. You see people pushing grannies out of the way to get to the rice first. And when it was in the most, let's say, acute phase of COVID, everyone with their mask on and was ever, get out of my goddamn way, I'm going somewhere, go away, germ, gross person, and so forth. Now, of course, that's a natural reaction to a mixture of fear and the public discourse at the time. But what I learned is that we are civil to each other because we have the luxury of being so, but it's not innate. And when things actually do start to go wrong, there it goes. It's all gone. I'll furnish you with another personal example. And this is a really personal example, actually, but I hope it illustrates the point I'm trying to make. My moral outlook on the world is that I don't steal. I don't take what's mine. The universe has a funny old way of getting you back for that anyway. But everyone has a moral code by which they live. Everyone. I mean, Christ, like Hitler had his own version of a moral code. So everyone who's alive has one. They're all different, but they have one. And mine is that I don't take what's not mine. And about a bit over 10 years ago, because of reasons, I was in the Czech Republic, in Prague, in the airport, and my card wasn't working. And this is long before the days of internet banking. And my bank card wasn't working. I had no cash left on me. I was trying to get home to Sweden where I lived. And no money, no phone and credit, that was gone. Card didn't work, no cash, no internet. Oh no, I actually ended up stuck in the airport. And it wasn't like a funny series of misadventures. It was actually like the most terrifying time in my life, basically, because I was stuck. I hadn't eaten since the day before anyway. It was getting late. I was starving, and this fear set in. When you don't know where your next meal's coming from, you change. It changed me, that incident. To the extent that at one point over the next few hours between panic attacks, I actually stole and consumed an apple. Not worth very much, but I took an apple that wasn't mine from a shop and ate it because I was that hungry. I was having panic attacks. Ugh, it's a very bad time. Got out of it in the end to ingenuity and resourcefulness, let's say that. But the point is that my moral code stretches as far until I haven't eaten for a couple of days and I'm stuck somewhere with no idea how I'm eating ever again in my life, or getting home, or doing anything. That position, that desperation, everything becomes malleable. Veneers, uh, um, ideas, concepts, codes, morality. When under enough pressure, these things all do start to bend. And if pushed far enough, they will break. Now, am I proud that I stole an apple 11 years ago? No. But if you were in my shoes that day, and I'm glad you weren't, you'd understand I didn't have a goddamn choice. The point is, I believe civility is a veneer that we have the luxury of exercising now, but you've probably noticed the last 2 years there wasn't too much civility getting around. So, how do I cap off that point? With a quote for an intelligence organisation in the United Kingdom called MI6. Now, I may well have covered this before a few years ago in a previous video, but I'll say it again for those at the back. This is a quote. A society is only ever 4 missed meals away from anarchy. The veneer of civility is thinner than we think. Something to think about anyway. Street sociology.